Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. Today in chapter 50, we read a short narrative of what happened after Jacob died. And we find that Joseph's brothers become very concerned and afraid as to what Joseph would do with them now that Jacob was dead. They were thinking, well, perhaps Joseph was just showing us a little bit of compassion, mercy for the sake of our father. But now that he's dead, what's going to happen to us? Well, Joseph gives them a statement that is perhaps one of the most popular statements made in the book of Genesis, at least in connection to Joseph's story. And it goes like this. He says in verse 19, "Do not be afraid, for am I in God's place? As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring about this present result, to preserve many people alive." Says, you guys, when you were doing it, when you were ridiculing me and you threw me in the pit and you sold me to the Ishmaelites, you meant evil towards me. You wanted what was bad for me, but the Lord was working out what was good. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. And the end result would be that many lives would be preserved. And so what we find here is that Joseph shows a great attitude. And usually when this verse is taught on, that's what's brought up. The good character of Joseph, the mercy of Joseph, the love of Joseph towards his brothers, the compassion that he had. And rightfully so, that's what we should, that's one of the things that we can draw from this statement. Go back and look at how Joseph had great perspective through all the troubles, apparently believing that God was going to work out something good, even in those difficult situations. And I believe we've talked about that in past devotions here on our daily encounter. But what can sometimes be missed in this statement that Joseph makes is the truth that he's bringing out. This is a very profound truth about God. He says that you meant it for evil against me, but God meant it for good in order to bring about this present result, to preserve many people alive. That reveals something magnificent about God. It shows us that God is able to bring good out of evil. He's able to bring good out of evil. And that's very profound theologically. Because one of the arguments against the existence of God, at least the Christian God, is that if he's powerful, if he's all powerful and he's all loving, why is there still evil in the world? Because if he's all loving, that means he wouldn't want evil in the world. And if he's all powerful, then he would be able to do something about it. And so they see these two things as incompatible. But what they miss out on is that there's actually a third option, that God can bring good out of evil, that God can even use something that is bad and make something beautiful out of it, make something useful out of it. Now, we use the expression, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And the idea there is that when bad things happen, turn it into something good. Use it into something great. And we all value that. If life gave you lemons and you just threw them on the floor or threw them out the trash, that would be it. Nothing would be good. But if you turn it into lemonade, then you got something sweet and refreshing to drink. And it came out of those sour lemons that were given to you. And that's to be valued more than just being able to get rid of the lemons. And the same thing would be true of the Lord. Well, sure, God's powerful enough to just eliminate evil. But then the evil's just gone. And everything is gone. And then what do you have? But if God can take what's evil and produce something good, then we see that he's doing the better work. If you have an old chair that's broken down, easy thing would be just to throw it away. But to turn it into something useful, something beautiful, making it into a nice piece of work, artwork or something like that, that would be even better than just throwing it away. So God could just throw away the bad things that happen, or he could transform those things and make them into something good, something beautiful, something useful, something great. And that's what God oftentimes does. and how wonderful it is. And I'm sure that I know that I can look back on our lives and see those times when we thought nothing good's coming out of this. This is work. This is, difficult. This is hard. Why is the Lord causing me to go through this? But then when we look back, we say, that's why I had to go through what I went through, because of this. And this is the good that came out of it. And then we're reminded of Romans chapter 8 that tells us that God causes all things to work for good for those who love him. And so we know that our God, yes, he doesn't always just eradicate evil, although that will be done one day. We have the promise that in the end, justice will be served, evil will be cast away, and righteousness will win. But for now, he keeps evil around. Why? Because he can produce good out of that evil. He can cause good to come out of it if we just trust him. Now, how does this apply to us? Rather, other than just knowing that God can make good things out of things that are evil. Well, it should encourage us. As we are encouraged by scriptures to imitate God, we should imitate God in this respect. We should be people who turn evil things into good. In other words, when disasters hit, when tragedies hit, when things happen, and whether it's someone being hospitalized from a sickness or whatever it might be, we as God's image bearers should be the instruments by which good can come out of evil. That is, let's just say an example of maybe a natural what philosophers call natural evil. That is, like a hurricane comes into a region. That's seen typically as a bad thing. A lot of damage of property, sometimes loss of life. But it's also an opportunity for God's people to reflect and show love, compassion, hard work, to show diligence in helping our neighbor in need. A lot of good can come out of even a bad situation if we're willing to be agents of that good and to work with the Lord in bringing out good in the hard times. And that's just one example, but you could go down the list of bad things that happen to a lot of people that we could really sit back and say, what can we do to make this bad situation something better, or for something good to come out of this? And pray to the Lord to help us discover that so that we can implement it and bring him glory as we reflect the very work that he does in bringing good out of evil. So these are some things to think about. Hopefully they were helpful to you today. I do thank you guys for watching the video today. I hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.